Hello everyone, I'm starting a new video series based on Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I'm hoping to cover as much of my experience as possible. I will be focusing on exploration and progression of the Kvaris region. Each video will break down an aspect of the journey from hardware to software to gameplay. I will begin by talking a little bit about gaming prep. So we're in the middle of a new patch, and a new patch always means let's play for 8 hours, let's play for 12 hours. It can really do a number on your hardware if you're not careful, especially since we are in June, approaching the summer months pretty much. I mean, we're not quite there yet. And so I would just cover a few things. Let's start about setting up the monitor. We have to make sure that our refresh rate is set up. So easy way to do this is to go by settings. If you're on Windows 11, go to settings. You have your computer name here. And you would want to go to your display. Now, I am set up in a way that all my data, my gaming data, is captured on another PC altogether. This means I don't take a frame rate hit. However, I still need to make sure that my refresh rate is set. So my display resolution is 4K. My scale is a custom scale because I don't want to play on a 4K monitor and find that in game I'm at 1080p, and that does happen if your scale is not to 100%. So the first thing that I would do is I would go to the display, check the resolution, check the display orientation, advanced display information. So 144 Hertz is what I have for my 4K monitor. Make sure that if you have a high refresh rate monitor, you're not set to 60 Hertz. You will regret it. So that's the first thing. I'm set to 144. I am fine. The second thing to worry about is that your graphics are set up. So you want to, let me go back. So you want to go back to the display tab and you want to go to the graphics tab. You want to set Phantasy Star Online 2 to high performance. Otherwise, you're going to deal with something very, very, very annoying when it comes to synchronizing, matching the refresh rate of your monitor to your to what the GPU can output in frames per second, your frame rate. So you want to cover the software. This is about software at this point. You then want to go to your control panel. If you're on AMD GPU, you have your own panel there as well. And you want to go to prefer maximum performance on the power management mode. If you do not go to power management mode, prefer maximum performance, what will happen is that your frame rate will synchronize to your monitor, but then the system will try to save power and your frame rate's going to go under your target frame rate. So if you limit your frame rate in game and you have it set to adaptive performance, you will end up having to deal with not being able to hit your monitor's refresh rate without fluctuating all over the place. That gets really, really annoying because it goes between performance and power saving mode, which is annoying, not to say the least. So I'm set for maximum performance. The software is set for maximum performance. Now, as far as the CPU is concerned, this is a game that does not require so much CPU power. and I'll prove it right now. I will launch into Extreme Utility. And so I have these profiles set. Now the 12900K, which is a super fast processor, is also unfortunately heavily overvolted. And so I will go to, okay, I can go to 32 core, sorry, not 32 cores. Yeah, I wish. I can go to 3.2 gigahertz per core and reduce my voltage by negative 0.1, and it will still work fine. And so I will do that. So if I hit that, it will show values. So I have negative 1.1. But I'm going to play on the safe side and believe that Kvaris might be a little bit more demanding. So I'm going to just go to negative 0.1. I'm limiting my processing speed to 3.2 gigahertz. I don't need the turbo boost so much. I don't want the processor to turbo boost in and out of place and fluctuate its processing speed while I'm playing the game, because I want my frame rate to be stable. I don't want the variance in frame rate affecting the game. So I'm going to hit apply. And there I go. So I have a second monitor. So if you want to bring something from one monitor to the next, all you would have to do is hit Windows Shift and the left key, the left arrow. So I want to make sure that I go with MSI Afterburner as well. So MSI Afterburner will have my power limit and my temp limit. Best part about this is simply that I get a frame rate monitor in game. So I have a hardware monitor in game. But some people do is they'll take a Stream Deck and they'll use HW64 or whatnot, and they will actually use the Stream Deck to hardware monitor themselves. And that's not such a bad idea, because a hardware monitor is in your face. But I like being able to see my frame rate. I like watching my frame rate while playing video games. Alright, so now that I am ready to play this game, I'm actually going to launch the game through the tweaker. And I have all this set up through my Stream Deck. Now, very important that while there's an maintenance going, they do put the patch up hours in advance, so you're not stuck in line trying to download the bloody thing. So now let's see what we get. So launch the game. It should be noted that for players who think they can get away with 8 or 16 gigs of RAM playing this game, I'm already at 9 gigs. So I'm running a 3080 Ti with a 12900K and 32 gigs of RAM under Windows 11. So I did all this to lower my temperatures. So here we go. So for anyone who runs around with 4 gigabyte cards, notice that I'm already using 4 gigs for even logging in. So of course, you coming on a new patch and they just added a lot of titles. And so here you go. There's a reason why this thing lists 60 frames per second when I don't even set it up like that. So I'm gonna go to System, I'm gonna go to Options, Graphics, and it's pretty funny that it says maximum frame rate unrestricted, but sometimes the game itself will restrict your frame rate. So if you're listening to any of the songs for the song buff itself and you're in Ratem City, you will be reduced to 60 frames per second. Now, once again, here I am with, see, I'm like synchronized to 60 frames, but you saw that I don't have a frame rate limiter set. If I go to options on the graphics, I did not set a maximum frame rate. It's unrestricted. And my refresh rate is 144 Hertz. Now, if I look at NVIDIA DLSS, so I'm being restricted in-game to 60 frames per second. So now, once again, we go to RAM. We have 11.3, 11.4 gigs of RAM and 5.5 gigs of video card memory. So yes, there are players who have told me that they can get away at 4K with like a 4 to 8 gigabyte card and 8 to 16 gigs of RAM. Sure, but your frame rate's gonna plummet like crazy. So of course, get campaign items. I was not aware of a randomite bug, but you know, I'll take it. Oh, for the bug where some randomite did not reappear. Okay, that's fine. So now, one of the things about the last part of this game, the last region, is that we were all stuck in doing pyramids and doing cappy farming. So instead, what I am doing is going back to my old setup. I'm still playing Tekker, but if you look at the weapons that I have here, I have all the weapons I have. So this is literally the same weapon. Like, this is pretty much, let's go into the pyramid all day and all night. And so normally there is a weapon that I bring with me. I make sure I have it in inventory. It's the weapon that I give the award for most valuable weapon. And don't try to hate me on at once on this, but if I go to forces, forces has maybe it's in the inventory. I know I had a 5. Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. Anyway. So, a forces weapon is a weapon that will prevent 50% of the damage that you take as long as your HP is full. So it prevents those long-range attacks from completely and utterly one-shotting you. And it has a very high potency, 24%. It's pretty high. I can make sure that I carry one with me in inventory. And I'm going to make sure that just so this is what normally happens, and it's like it becomes a convoluted mess. Like if I go into my inventory, so I'll hold on to that for now.
Thanks for stopping by.
Okay, so I'm in game right now, and I can end this video. Like everything works fine so far, with the exception that I have 60 frames per second, and the system is locking me to that, which is pretty funny. Alright, see you on the next video.